somebody needs to get us simply the email address. And, okay,
Somebody
it's
say
there.
Yeah,
85
Express Lane at urs.com. It's on the back of this coming soon to Highway 85.
I don't,
Is that in the handout? We
Yes.
have worked like that.
so it's,
Not your hand,
Yeah,
it's back there.
In the back.
it's in the back, it's on the back table. If you have, look, if you have any question, please copy it from somebody here. I don't always agree with Howard. I think Howard will agree with that one. However, everything he has said is on target. It's really important that folks register your objections. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be an email of 5 sentences that says, I don't understand this and I don't like this. It doesn't have to be technical or fancy at all. It will help. That's one. Two, something that's been said about the trucks. Let me tell you, the last time I commuted at rush hour, 2 weeks ago, south from Cupertino on 85 at rush hour, I had 2 tractor 10-yard end dumps in front of me, and to one side of me passing was a cement truck. None of those were close to 9,000. The truck requirement on 85 is not enforced now. Is not enforced now. Why we should be so concerned about keeping the restriction? What restriction? Getting to bigger things. The basic problem here is they've been working on this, as this fellow's saying, for years. They haven't talked to us. They haven't, I mean, I'm fairly active in local politics in the community here. I found out about this, I don't know, 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, for the first time. I would have been very concerned. I was very active when 85 went in 15 years ago. Very, very involved, more than that now. So the problem is we have a regional group that is unelected, that is making decisions. VTA, how many of you voted for VTA directors? Many of you don't know what VTA is. And, well, and the membership in VTA, so we have an unelected group that is spending huge money and influencing the very nature of our communities. The cities, the suburbs, Los Gatos, Cupertino, Saratoga, we get rotating membership on the board, and San Jose controls the board. So Howard or Chuck or Emily may go for a year and Saratoga has the seat and sort of represents the other suburbs, but our interests aren't congruent on everything. We have almost no say in this non-elected government, which is doing things which none of our city governments could begin to do to us. Second, that's, by the way, simply not democratic. There's another democratic problem nobody's mentioned that I'm going to mention. I have neighbors who are on fixed, elderly and on fixed incomes. They can't afford to drive in the fast lanes. Their tax dollars paid for every bit of that freeway. Now, just like go to the airport, stand in a 45-minute security line, and watch somebody who paid a few $100 walk past you, walk up, and go on board. Although you paid for the airport, you paid for all of the TSA expenses with your tax dollars. Why should one of my neighbors who doesn't have the money sit in congestion on a freeway they paid for with their tax dollars, while somebody else who's got a transponder gets picked up and is charged however many dollars, and when they want to, they go into a faster lane? That's besides what this will do to our communities. But that isn't very democratic either. And the answers are not helpful. They are purposely misleading at times, as the fellow in the back pointed out. I said, did you read this? Did you read the prior agreement? Because you said nothing about when we asked, did you read the part about landscaping, which is clearly violated, without any question. No answer. So this isn't very helpful. I can tell you one thing. If Los Gatos Monteserino, Saratoga, and Cupertino stay where Cupertino seems to be right now, and simply say to the state and to regional government, we do not want this project, it won't happen. If we get the city councils, our governments that are elected, in our suburbs along this corridor to say, take this project and put it someplace where they do want it, we don't, this won't happen.
So, I do have a question regarding that. So, Chuck, you said they have to respond to us. So, I feel like their response might be similar to what we're hearing tonight, which is pat you on the head. Oh, by the way, we'll meet the mass transit check mark by putting express buses in. Okay, the noise level is going to be, acceptable, but now that's another really big question for me. How can we, from the city standpoint, get a different reading from the same company that you guys used? So how does that happen? How does that happen? It happens because of who's looking at it, who's funding it, right? So I'm really concerned that, yeah, we can do all of this, but is it really going to have an impact? My question to you, which someone else had asked before, and you didn't answer, was, how do we make this not happen? Where are we? Howard says stage 2. Well, it seems to me you've already spent $4 million on this. That's pretty sizable. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but that seems sizable to me. So I guess the other question is it possible to actually stop this?
So what we're in right now is the environmental process, and that's prescribed. That's what Chuck was talking about and Howard, that in the comments that were received through that process, we have to respond formally and answer those in writing. So that's this process. Any of the questions that come out, whether it relate to technical studies or the project itself or any of the things that have come out, we will answer that.
And how are we going to see that?
Well, Howard was trying to explain some of that. That is a formal process that we have to go through. There is a decision-making process, and it's the VTA Board of Directors that will make a decision to take it to the next level, whether it's design or finance or construction.
Has already approved this. Our feedback is going to go to them, and they're going to say, oh, well, the city doesn't, the city.
The VTA board is made up of the city representatives. It's not every city, because it was correct that there is a rotating seat on some parts of the county, but it is made up of elected representatives from the cities in the county.
So wait, I'm sorry. You still didn't answer the question.
Yes.
You can ask
Well, I thought I did, because she wanted to know where to go to provide that, and that's the VTA board.
I'm sorry. The question before that, and I'm sorry. The question before that was, how can we stop it?
He's not gonna.
Well, I'm not here to tell you how to stop it. I can tell you how you can get your input into the process.
Thank you for being honest.
You give, hey, listen, all you do is give input.
No.
And if you don't like it, then what you can do is sue. You follow me? If you don't like the,
That is true, but let me answer the question.
well, that is key.
Thank you, Howard.
This project has been voted on by the VTA Board of Directors, who are members, elected officials from the cities. And everybody may be praised at Cupertino, that's political theatrics over there, because they have people on their council who've known about this for 5 years and actually voted on it when they were on the VTA Board of Directors. So they can grandstand all they want. The VTA Board of Directors is the one who has to vote for this project to move forward. If they do not vote for this project to go forward, it does not go forward. If they do vote for it to go forward, it does. That is how this gets canceled, or that's how this moves forward. It's not John, he's some staff member. He's a staff member that VTA has hired, whose job it is to do congestion management projects in the valley for VTA. So he can explain all kinds of technical details, but he's not the guy. It's somebody like me. Well, it's not me right now. I'm actually trying to get onto the VTA board. There's a whole process by which that has to happen. But it's somebody like me who has to vote, and it's not me. There has to be a majority of the VTA.
Thank you for a direct answer, and I appreciate your honesty and in at least stating that that's not what you're here for. Now, the question would be, is it unanimous? Is it
No, it's a
majority? Is it
majority.
supermajority?
It is majority, and the factors that would be weighed in by these people are the regional benefit versus the potential issues that this could cause, i.e. lawsuits that could come out of the environmental impact, or unhappy citizens with pitchforks in front of the businesses.
Can we contact them directly?
How many votes do we have on the board?
How do we help the city council help us?
Now, let me answer that one.
Chuck is
I was
most
on the
recently
board for
served.
2 years ago. Okay, we, Cupertino, Campbell, Saratoga, Montecito, Los Gatos, sorry. We're a small city group, and we typically have rotated from city to city. Sometimes, like Cupertino was on for 3 years, so that a member had a chance to become the chair. Then after that, I was on for 2 years, and then Los Gatos got on. Los Gatos had been on before the Cupertino one, so it doesn't necessarily go in order. But we get that one vote, and that person's supposed to represent not only our interests, but the region's interests. And that person has the responsibility to lobby the other members of the board.
How many
Of course,
are there?
there are
12.
12. There's 5 San Jose. No, we're not. You can't talk to more than, well, I couldn't talk to more than 4 others. Because that would violate the Brown Act, so I could only talk to 4. But that doesn't mean that other people can't write letters
As a member of that board, you could only talk to 4 other members?
about an issue. And so try to convince them. It's a
Out
law.
of,
It's a
outside
law.
a meeting.
It's a law.
Can the public go to those meetings?
Absolutely. They're the first Thursday of every month. And they're at the county building, they're in the board of supervisors. At the last meeting, the last board, I stood up and I said that Saratogans are deeply against this project, especially, and I expressed my personal view, which I told to John when I was part of the congestion management committee and when I was on the policy advisory committee, that there's nothing that should happen to increase any kind of traffic going north until you fix the problem. And the problem is that is actually in Sunnyvale. But the rep from Sunnyvale doesn't care because he never drives on it. Cupertino's close, but they weren't ever very vocal. So I made it my point to say, I'm going to be the jerk in the crowd. I'm going to say that this is the thing that needs to be resolved. Now, thinking about this project, you know, I was never against an express lane when it was 1 lane. Because it took the current HOV lane, turned into express lane. Okay, I'm a guy who, because of my job, I don't drive with other people. So yeah, my tax dollars pay for that road. I can't ever use it during rush hour. So having the ability to pay 40 cents or 50 cents to use it, okay, it gives me a chance to use something and I pay a little bit extra for it. Whatever. Not the biggest deal in the world. I've done it on the 237. I've done it on the 680. I've done it on the 680 when it was 40 cents and I got in it and there was less traffic outside of it. Boy, did I regret getting on. But that happens, you know, and some people do cut across the double lane. I wish they'd get caught, but they didn't. But we've expressed that this 2-lane thing is not what we'd like to see. We've expressed that since the beginning that I saw it. And the things that we did vote on, and when Howard says we voted for it, we voted to fund the study and some design. You can't fight what you don't know isn't there. You know, if it comes out and it's crap, well, then you don't have to fight it because it's done. So you fund it to study it so you can have some answers. So now we have the responsibility and some facts to go and back ourselves up on. At our last meeting, the meeting when John was there, I asked our city attorney to look at the contract that Marty and the council have put together and what parts of this are enforceable and what can we stand by. Until we have that legal analysis in today's world versus the signature that they had with some group that doesn't even exist. And I don't know when state law created VTA, did they say all the encumbrances go to you guys?
Not sure.
Or does it all drop?
Not sure that they would assume.
I don't know that. And
Successor nominee and.
I know what goes on up in Sacramento, and I'm surprised that anything gets done. But I don't want to change that. But that's a whole other story. So anyway, so we are looking at the things that we need to, and then together we can do this. But we can't do it independently. I certainly want to authorize several $1 million of your money to do it.
Thank you very much. I actually have 2 issues. I appreciate the chance to talk. My name is Lee Waxman, and 2 things that I want to say, they're not exactly related. First one is, what we're seeing here, I have observed, and I have taken a study, and I don't know if anybody else has, if we were just to eliminate the limited access lanes and let everybody just use them, maybe we wouldn't have any congestion at all, because I believe that most of the time those lanes are empty, and what we're saying now is we're adding a few lanes, but mostly what we're gonna do is allow people to pay to use that lane. So therefore, we're limiting congestion that we have created. So if we just eliminated that center lane and say, okay, the road is usable by everybody all the time, I believe there'd be no congestion, and I'm wondering, was any study ever made, or was this an assumption? Now, my other issue has to do with the money. We're talking about $170 million, which we are projecting would be a budget that we might be able to pay to do this. Now, maybe we would run over budget, that would not be unusual, but the question is, we said, it won't cost us anything, because the money will be paid by the toll. So are we talking about revenue bonds, that only the toll goes there, and it will not be a general obligation bond, so that no tax money will ever go to pay for these bonds, and the bondholders will just be defaulted upon when 170 isn't paid back? How is that gonna work? Or are we talking about a general obligation bond where we project that we'll get the 170 million, but in fact, when we don't, then our taxes are paid for it? So the two issues, one is, have you ever studied the effect of eliminating the carpool lane altogether, and is that not the cause of congestion?
We have not studied eliminating the carpool lane on this project. I'm sure someone has done that in other places, but not on this project. So I suspect that we have seen freeways that don't have carpool lanes, and they get filled up just like every other freeway in a peak period. So I don't know that that's going to solve the problem. With regard to how to fund this, we're not quite at that stage yet, but it would be perhaps, and we have to get to there in about 2 years to decide how this could be financed. And it could be bonds, it could be other financing mechanisms, but that hasn't been decided. But it would be the ratepayers, or the people that are seeing the benefit, those tolls and those fees would pay the cost of that bond back.
So it would not be general obligation?
I think when you say general obligation, that means coming off of like general fund revenue, and no, that's not the case. It's coming specifically and directly and only from the ratepayers that see the benefit.
How long?
Well, we haven't got to that stage, but they could be anywhere from 10, 20 to 30 years, if that is what is chosen to do.
I'm Thierry Doyen, and I have a question for Chuck in follow-up to the discussion about the VTA board. Would it make a difference if many citizens from Saratoga, from Cupertino, from Los Gatos and so on, started every month to be present at the VTA board meeting and tell them, okay, we want the light rail, we don't want all this, we're here the citizens, and influence their votes?
It would be refreshing, without a doubt. And what I would suggest is, don't say we want this, say we'd like to have a study done to see if this is the most effective way to do it. Because unless, I mean, they're not just gonna make a decision to go one way or the other. I mean, light rail, you gotta think, who's going from where to where? Are they gonna end at 280? Hitchhike? I mean, you know, get on the express lane. But I think absolutely, yes, the VTA board hears from some citizenry every month, and I'm telling you, if you guys were there, it'd make a hell of a lot of difference.
Why aren't they?
So let's do it, people.
Yep.
Let's all go. Thursday, so when and where?
The VTA board meetings are the first Thursday of the month at 5:30. It's held in the county supervisors' chambers at 70 West Heading, right at the corner of Heading and First Street, 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, and the
first
public
Thursday.
comment period is pretty close to the beginning of the meeting now. They used to have a closed session, but no longer. They do public comment pretty early, so.
I just Googled it, it's bta.org. If you just say San Jose VTA board meetings, you go right to the page with all the meetings,
And the
the rest of the
agendas.
month, and the agenda and everything. So bta.org, and you can get that.
That's next Thursday.
So who can go? Let's carpool. Let's carpool. Let's take that bus.
About this environmental study, right, you have a post on the website. Do you have some standards if below this standard, then that's pass. If it's above that standard, that's fail. Do you have some standard?
If I'm understanding what you're talking about, when we do and analyze all the different components of the environmental process, there are standards for traffic analysis, for noise, for visual, there's protocol that we have to meet in terms of determining if it's a significant or a less than significant impact. But that's each technical study by technical study. Is that what your question was, or was it something
So
different?
the protocol is, clearly can be understood by residents, right? If we say, okay, this is not meet my, because we don't know which company conducted this study, and when they study, under what condition. So may not be fair to consider all the cases. So right now, looks like it passed, but maybe not passed in some of city areas.
Well, I think what you might be talking about, more of a policy decision to whether or not you want to, the BJ board wants to go
It's just a
forward.
detailed study, would that be, how to say this is not satisfy my living condition. For example, I living very close to the Highway 85, and I like every year, like 100 days, I smell it. If open the window at the summer, then that's it will wake up in the night of sleeping because so bad smell and so choppy, and it will lasting for several hours